Hello everyone, it's Dawn. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to our new subscribers and our long-term subscribers. Lovely to have you with us. And it's lovely to be back. It seems ages since I last did a video. I think it's been about a couple of weeks, but to me it seems a lot longer. I have missed it. But to cut a long story short, if you haven't caught up with my last post, I had a weird allergy to a medication which made my voice sound rather weird. But it's more or less back to normal now. So we're ready to go. And we're going to carry on with our stamping technique, our stamping series, which seems to have been ages since we last started it with this gap. But we're going to be doing what I'm calling block stamping. It's more like block inking really, but it's generally regarded as block stamping. So I'm going to use a 6x6 card, or I'm going to make a 6x6 card. Now, the size is not dependent on this particular technique. You can use whatever size project you like, and you can do it on whatever project you like. I'm going to be making a greeting card, but you can do this on a bag, a gift bag, on the top of the lid of a box, anything you like. But we're going to do this on a card, and you will need some low tack tape, something like washi tape. Now, I'll give you a tip. We're going to keep this simple, and I'm only going to do 2 divisions. But even with washi tape, what I would suggest you do is just run it over your fingers or through your fingers just a couple of times to take the initial sticky off, because we don't want it to be too sticky, because we want to take it off again afterwards. Now I'm going to put one across there, and if you make it, another tip for you, if you make your tape longer than your work that you're working on, your piece you're working on, you can use it to tape it down and it won't move around while you're inking, because that's not what you want it to do. So we're just going to rub that along there. You can use low tack masking tape if you want to, but the first thing I came across in my drawer was my piles of washi tape. So that's the first thing you need to do. You just need to pop it like that. Now you can use, I'm only going to make 2 divisions. You can make as many as you like, but I'm just going to keep this simple. And I'm only going to use 2 tones of ink. Now the idea of this is you use 2 or 3 or even 4 if you want to, tones of ink or the same colour on your project. But I'm going to use 2. You could use one, a different one in each corner if you like. But just to keep things simple, we don't want to make it too complicated, or I don't anyway. So I'm going to use, now it doesn't matter what you use. I am using wild honey and mustard seed, but you can use whatever you like. So I'm going to start with my wild honey, and I'm just going to put a good coating on my brush. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to rub that over there fairly strongly. Doesn't have to be super strong, but strong enough so that you can actually see the effect on your card. And I just, the idea of putting the mask on is so that you don't stray into the one below it, but that one's going to be darker so it won't show. And then what I'm going to do, keeping with the same one, you can do this in whatever arrangement you like, but I'm going to do it like this. So I'm going to put the 2 tones of ink in the 2 opposite diagonal corners. So actually, do you know what, I think that one will be all right. I don't think it needs another one, but I am going to try and keep it slightly darker towards the middle, towards the centre. So I'm just going to put, and that's the idea, that's one of the beauties of having your tape, so you can go over it a little bit if you want to. So I'm just going to have that a little bit darker in the middle, not too much, but just a little. So we're going to put that one away. I'm going to grab the other one, which in this case is mustard seed. But again, you can use whatever you like. It really depends what stamp you're going to use as to what colours you use. And you'll see what stamp I'm using in a minute. So this one's, well actually, I thought that was going to be darker. This one's actually lighter. It looks darker when you look at the pad. So again, I'm just going to make it, oh it is if you brush into it. That's all right. Again, I'm just going to make that a little darker in the middle. So we're just going to do this bit here, a little more there, and a little darker in the middle. So if you push harder with your blending brush or your tissue, if you haven't got a blending brush, use a piece of kitchen towel, that'll do. But don't use your fingers unless you enjoy getting them messy. I can't stand dirty fingers, especially fingernails. Ink under my fingernails is the worst for me, but that's because I'm fussy. And then you don't need that anymore, you don't need that anymore, and you don't need your brushes anymore. But what we do at this stage is we take off our mask, or 2 masks in this case, and that will reveal our block. So you take that off like that, and I love that. I love the effect when you take it off. Sometimes it takes a while. This one didn't take too long. Oh, it didn't actually, about 5 minutes, so that's not bad. And when you pull the mask off for the block, it leaves that beautiful, clean image in the middle. Now, I would suggest, as I've done here, if you're going to do this, especially if you're taking your ink to the edge of your card, put some scrap paper underneath, because you don't want it going onto your work surface. Okay, you can wash it off, but it's better if you don't have to. So there's another tip for you. So we don't need that anymore. So if we can find somewhere to put it, let's just swap it over with my stamping platform. It can swap places. Let's just take the stamp off. So I'm just going to quickly grab my stamping platform. Oh, die cutting machine's in the way, or the handle of the die cutting machine's in the way. So I'm going to pop that there, and I'm just going to, I think probably a couple of magnets will do. I don't need all 4. This one does come supplied with 4 magnets, but I honestly don't think we need it. So I'm going to put mine in the middle like that, so that it's right in the middle. You could put it a bit lower if you wanted to, but I'm going to put mine in the middle like that. So we've all done this before. If you've done stamping, just pop it in, push it down, open it up. Now I have primed my stamp, and so if you don't know what that means, in fact what I'll do is I'll show you. If I can quickly find an eraser, there we go, in my drawer. If you're using, like I am, a stamp for the first time and you've never used a stamp before, you do need to prime it, and all that means is you rub over, whoops, the raised surface, the stamping area. All this will do is take the manufacturer's film off of it. You won't see anything, but if you don't do it, you will notice a difference. You'll notice a very poor quality of your stamp, because the film, although you can't see it, it's still there, and it will interfere with the quality of your stamped image. So just, if it's a new one, or one that you've never used before, just go over it with an eraser. You can even go over it with your fingers if you want to, but I always use an eraser because it's easier. And if it has got a bit of residue on it from the manufacturing, it doesn't come off on your fingers. So then I'll just make sure that hasn't moved. It hasn't, excellent. Now I would suggest using a colour, a complementary colour, but one that is stronger than your background. Do you what? I am going to put that magnet on there because it is lifting just a little bit and I want it to stay still. So I am using, in this case, Festive Berries, but you, as I say, you can use whatever you like. As long as the main tip is make sure that the ink you use for your stamped image is darker or stronger than your blended background, your inked background. Otherwise it'll just blend in and it won't stand out, and we want this to pop. We want this to stand out. So if I just move that over a bit. We may have to do this 2 or 3 times, and if we do, we do. And as you've probably seen, or if you haven't seen it, you will when I stamp it, this is a light bulb. And I'll tell you why I've chosen this particular stamp once we've got it in place. So I'm just going to pop that down there, move this across. Now we're going to hold it down for a few seconds to allow the ink to transfer onto our page, and make sure that you're stamping on a flat surface, just to make sure that you get a good quality. So that should be enough. Let's just have a look. That's not bad, actually. That really isn't bad, but I am just going to do it one more time. It's probably going to be all right, but it's a bit sketchy down there, a bit patchy. So we're just going to do it one more time. That'll do. I'm not going to be too fussy because, as I say, it's actually all right. So we're just going to hold it down, especially down the bottom. I found that was a bit sketchy. Well, it was for me, a bit patchy. So let's have a look now. Ah, that's better. Yes, that's fine. So we're going to just pop that down there. That can stay where it is. I'm just going to remove the magnets and take that out. Put that over there. Now that is our image finished. So that's what our blocked stamp looks like. If you wanted to colour in the filament here, you can. I'm not going to at the moment. I might later on when the ink's dry, but I'm not going to colour it at the moment. In fact, I might not colour it at all. But the reason I've done a light bulb, I could have put it a bit further down actually, because I'll either underneath or across the top. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to turn this into a Christmas card. Now I know it doesn't look much like a Christmas card at the moment, but at the top, probably at the top, I'm going to put the line, "May your days be merry and bright," from the song White Christmas. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing to you. That would be a fate worse than death. So I plan to put, "May your days be merry and bright," which is from, as I say, White Christmas. And then down here, I might actually colour that bit in the middle. And down here, I'm going to put some holly, either holly or I might even use poinsettias to tie in with the red light bulb. So we'll see. But once I finished it, I'll keep it back. And once I finished it, I will show you what I've done with it. So I didn't do it straight away because I haven't really decided what I'm going to do yet. That was just an idea off the top of my head. So once I've finished it, it probably will be a Christmas card, although at the moment it doesn't really look like one. But it's one of those images, it can be used for anything. You can just put, "Have a happy birthday," or "May your day be bright," or anything like that. So when I decide what I'm going to do with that, I'll bring it back and I'll show you what it looks like once it's got a sentiment and maybe a few other embellishments. So that's our card for now. I have got one more ink blending and stamping technique for you, which is called a marbled back, or a marbled stamping, which it's actually called it's called marble stamping, but it's actually marble inking, and then you put your image on the top. But that will be the last one in this particular series. We'll have some more coming up the following week, next week. But I'll be back Friday and I'll show you how, or at least how I do, marbled stamping. Now that, just to give you a bit of a heads up, it's one of those things, it could either turn out brilliantly or it could be a disaster. And it's one of those things you can't plan. So we're going to do that together and we're going to discover whether it's fantastic or disastrous. And we can have a good laugh at it together, especially if it's disastrous. So I will be back on Friday with our marbled stamping technique. Well, actually it's marble inking technique. And I'll show you what I'm going to use. You can use that for several things. You can use it just as a background, or as a background, or you can use it for other things. But I'm going to do our marbled background or marbled stamping and inking next time. And I'm going to show you what I use that particular technique for. So until Friday, enjoy the rest of your week. I hope you have a go at this one. If you do have a go at this block, do pop along and join us in our Crafty Capers with Dawn Facebook group, because I've not been around much. There's not been much happening in the group lately, but we'll try and get it active again. Well, it is still active, but we'll try and get more action into it. So do have a go and show us your version. We'd love to see it. And I will see you on Friday with our marbled inking and stamping. So until then, enjoy the rest of your week. Have fun. Take care. And as always, happy crafting. Bye-bye for now.